pay attention to these 3 things you need to get right before you get started, because just missing one of them can mean you lose everything. Number 1, the best way to select the crypto assets that you want to invest in is by using the technology behind it, right? So before you start moving any money, before you start investing in anything, the best thing I can recommend to you is to actually use this technology, right? So for example, maybe you're interested in DeFi, decentralized finance, right? The best thing you can do is open a MetaMask wallet and just play around with a couple different tools. Like for example, you can make a swap on Uniswap. You can get yourself a decentralized loan on Aave, buy some options on Friction. It doesn't matter what you want to use. You can play around with DeFi, or maybe you're more of the cultural guy and or girl and you want to play with NFTs. Go buy yourself an NFT on OpenSea and see what that looks like, what that feels like, how it works. And maybe send some NFTs to a friend so you know how to transfer. But overall, the best way to learn about crypto, understand it, and to maybe even understand like where does this whole thing create value, is to simply become a super user. And especially in the bear market, guess what? The best thing is the gas is low. And so that means that it's really cheap for you to transact on chain, whereas in a bull market, it might have cost you hundreds of dollars. Today, you can do so for pennies. Number 2, never lose your keys. Look, in the first point, I said you should make yourself something called a MetaMask wallet. Now here's the catch. When you set up your MetaMask wallet, at the very beginning, you are given something called a seed phrase. It's a combination of sometimes 12 to 24 words. The mistake beginners make is they just click away and they go right to the next step. But the problem is this seed phrase is only shown to you once. And so it is super important for you to do a couple things. Number 1, write it down. And ideally, you write it down on paper somewhere in multiple locations, put it in a safe, put it in a bank vault, put it in different places, so that even if something happens to that one copy, you've got a backup copy. Why? Because guess what? If you put it in your notepad and maybe somebody hacks your phone or your computer, they can get access to the notepad and they steal your money. Happened multiple times with many people. Or maybe they put it in a document somewhere on the computer, they lose it, they can't find it anymore, and it's gone. But then there's another part to it, that is that you never ever give it to a single soul. It doesn't matter if it's your mom, doesn't matter if it's a brother, doesn't matter if it's a girlfriend, you just never share that seed phrase, because guess what? Having that seed phrase is the same thing as owning the assets. So unless you would feel comfortable wiring that money from your bank account to theirs, you should not give them the seed phrase. That applies also to the many scammers out there. At some point, you will get a fake email, maybe from a fake MetaMask saying, hey, there were some technical issues, please send us your private key or your seed phrase and we'll take care of the issue. Or maybe, some scammer on Instagram says, hey, you know what, send us your seed phrase and we'll send you 2 times the money back. These things happen a lot. The one way to stay safe from that is to just know nobody ever deserves to know your seed phrase. For some of you, this might seem obvious. The problem is every single day, people all around the world lose money because they're not careful with this. That can save you everything. And then third and final, and guess what? This one will make your friends hate you. But don't just listen to your friends and strangers. I remember even in the early bull markets of 2017, you could go to a bar and some bro would come up to you and tell you, man, you gotta buy some Tron, you gotta buy some Ripple because it's gonna go to the moon. Ripple is going to $100. It's not, first of all. But beyond that, the big problem is that everybody has an opinion on crypto. Heck, even I have an opinion on crypto. And let me tell you something. If I say that I'm bullish on something,
I'm a big believer that Ethereum will one day flip Bitcoin. There's never been such a no-brainer investment in my eyes. And again, no financial advice, it can totally fail.
Doesn't mean that you should buy it. If Jimmy John, your little neighbor over there, tells you that you should buy some random shitcoin like Shiba Inu and SafeMoon, doesn't mean you should buy it. The problem is that the average person, when it comes to investing, whether it's tokens or stocks or anything, usually operates on what? Someone else gave them a hot tip. So your neighbor tells you, wow, you really gotta buy this hot new token. Why? Did they do research? Probably not, no. But somebody else probably came to them and said, hey, you gotta buy this hot token. I heard from somebody. So it's this long chain of like telephone where somebody comes up with an interesting story, tells it to someone else, that person tells someone else, that person tells someone else, and then in a way it becomes this game of hot potato and almost like a Ponzi scheme where people just buy because somebody told them. Generally, those things end very poorly. In the last bull market, we had stories like, SafeMoon and Shiba Inu and Dogecoin and even really stupid ones like, I can't even say it on this camera, like, Asscoin and CumRocket, right? But people actually put their money in there. And ultimately, every single retail trader loses money as a result. And then people get hurt, and then there's class action lawsuit. But you should really look in the mirror and ask yourself, why did I buy Asscoin? Like, what convinced you to wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm gonna bet my life savings on a token called Asscoin. Like, what's wrong with you? Do some research. It doesn't matter if it's Ascoin, it doesn't matter if it's like an actual strong fundamental token. It doesn't matter who tells you. What matters is that you can get information from other people. You say, interesting. Let me fact check that. Let me look into it. Let me see if I actually genuinely believe it. And guess what? Once you do that research and you realize, you know what? Felix said something. I don't agree with this token, but this token sounds interesting. I do my research. I like it. I buy it. That investment is your responsibility. It was your decision. Because something that beginning investors do a lot, they don't make their own investment decisions. People tell them and they copy. When it works out, they say, I am so smart. I made this trade and I made so much money. And guess what happens when it doesn't work out? He's a scammer. I lost everything because somebody mentioned a coin. Nobody held a gun to your head to buy that token. Ultimately, it comes down to taking self-responsibility. And then you're already 10 steps ahead for most people, because most investors, when they're 5 years old or 90 years old, they never grow out of this phase. They always make the same mistakes. And that's when you see full grown-ass adults, 55 years old, cry rivers when they say, oh, I lost everything because I put all my money into one single stock my neighbor told me about. And so this is your chance to grow up and say, hey, okay, you know what? I'm gonna start practicing risk management. I'm gonna start practicing position sizing. I'm gonna start researching. Pay attention to those and you'll do amazingly well.